Good afternoon. Welcome to SME Connect. This is a unique micro conference aimed specifically for small and medium-sized enterprises in the UAE. The outlook, the conference today, we're going to look at the outlook for businesses, particularly small businesses in the UAE in the post-COVID environment. And we're going to discuss and assess the opportunities for business development and business growth, and of course the challenges, particularly around cash flow and finding new revenue streams. The micro conference will last for 90 minutes. So it's a very short session, and I will be your moderator for the session. My name is Richard Thompson. I am the editorial director of MEED, the Middle East Economic Digest, and I do encourage you to use the chat box on the right hand side to submit questions to the panelists and to make observations throughout the micro conference. So we are living through incredibly difficult times, for not just for businesses, for all of us in all walks of life, but I think few organizations have been more impacted by the disruption of the pandemic than small and medium-sized enterprises. You've had your revenue streams severely disrupted. You've still got high costs to carry, whether that's rents or salaries or equipment or even interest payments. And the outlook is very uncertain. We appear to be globally entering a second wave of the pandemic. The uncertainty surrounding the international travel markets and the oil markets and energy demand globally, all of that is going to affect small and medium-sized enterprises in the UAE. So a lot to talk about. And the purpose of this micro conference is to provide some insights on the outlook for the market, some ideas, and hopefully some inspiration to help support you through these interesting times. Now, SME Connect is brought to you today by Mashreq NEOBiz. NEOBiz is the digital platform from Mashreq Bank to support small and medium-sized enterprises in the UAE. And today is the first anniversary of the launch of Mashreq NEOBiz. So happy birthday to NEOBiz, and I wish you lots of success in the road ahead. Now, we're going to have a slight change to the original program, and we're going to go straight to a keynote conversation with a very important person to all, or to many SMEs. No business can operate in isolation. It requires the support and input of key stakeholders, and few stakeholders are more important to small businesses than their landlords. Landlords, as well as providing facilities, also provide support and advice and help, at least the good landlords. And I'm delighted that we have one of the most important partners for small businesses in the UAE joining us today for a fireside conversation to set the theme for today's conference. Majed Al Suwaidi is the managing director of Dubai Media City, Dubai Studio City, Dubai Production City, and he is the head of In5. So Majed has a very important role supporting SMEs across the UAE, and I'm delighted that he has joined us this morning. Good afternoon, Majed. How are you?
Good afternoon. I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Perhaps just to sort of get the ball rolling, could you describe what you have seen over the last 8 months in terms of your clients and partners who are SMEs? What are the sort of challenges that you've seen them face, and how have they responded to those challenges?
Well, first of all, I think it has been a tough year, without saying the least. I think for all of the companies that are there, and as you rightly mentioned, there's a very big number of SMEs that are residing within our different cities. that play a different role in a different in each of these sectors that we within the media area that has a different impact depending on where they are. Nevertheless, I think it's important to highlight that there is quite an amount of resilience that we've seen from a lot of companies to withgo this hurricane of situation that they were in at the beginning of the year until date. And a lot of people have, there are smaller companies that are understandable, which most probably would close down and restart again a little bit down the line. But the companies that have been established, most of them have held together and are basically looking forward for this situation to get better very soon.
Well, thank you. And in terms of your own organization, I mean, you have such a diverse portfolio of operations, but how has COVID affected your portfolio of businesses, and what actions have you taken to sort of respond to that and to support your clients?
Well, as you understand, today, I think the T-Com Group as a whole, and Dubai Media City to be specific, plays a very important role to support a lot of the media media SMEs within the sector. And I think what has happened over the last few months have shown that there is a lot of things that could be done, but it all depends on how sustainable models, sustainable ideas that you can put forward that not only could support the companies that are there, but also supporting the investment company itself as Dubai Media City. So there is a lot of challenges that has been overcome over the period, and we've seen that there is opportunities that have come up to support a lot of the cash flow glitches that companies were facing, and there was a lot of extension of support for a lot of companies over the last 6 or I think 7 months.
And I mean, at this point, it's very difficult for anybody, impossible for anybody to know how, what lies ahead in terms of the disruption from COVID and, when vaccines will come in, et cetera, et cetera. How are you as a group, and how are your clients preparing for the next 12, 24 months? I mean, do you just have to get your heads down and carry on as normal, or are there sort of innovations that you can introduce?
Well, looking at it at the beginning, I think a lot of speculations went into how things will turn out to be. Now, if we start, we started with the initial speculations at the beginning of the year. The speculations were a little bit bleak, and they weren't very optimistic. Nevertheless, I think today the UAE in general, and Dubai to be specific, has shown that there is opportunities that will lie on after this this situation has passed. It's also worth mentioning is that the fact that businesses will evolve, and I think the evolving of the businesses is the key for them to be relevant in the next period of time. So I understand that there are, we've got a lot of traditional businesses that are located within our cities, and I would urge a lot of these businesses to start looking at what opportunities could they be tapping into that could be something of the future, of the next era. So I think I would agree with a lot of people that saying that was post-COVID is different than pre-COVID. And I would also look into the opportunities that might be coming in the future. Nevertheless, I think businesses will rebound. Opportunities will be coming back. And this is our optimistic view, to be frank, on how businesses will be looking at, what would businesses look at in the future.
Now, you mentioned just now about the need for all companies, but I guess particularly small companies, to be flexible and to adapt and be agile to find new opportunities. What sort of, and I understand that no two companies are the same. Every company has its own markets, its own services, and its own challenges. But broadly, what sort of things do you think that small companies should be doing to identify those new opportunities and to adapt or to become more adaptable to take advantage of those opportunities?
Well, I think we've always seen that there is the media sector in specific is one of the fastest evolving sectors. Even before COVID, the sector was very volatile. There is a rapid investment and development within the sector. There is a lot of change within how traditional media was dealing with the current market situations. So I think today, publishing, for instance, has always been facing a lot of a tough time within the market because of the digitization. So now what will happen is that this will even be faster. So with rapid development within technology, with a combination of technology and media, with all of these developments that are happening, I think there would be rapid development, and we'd expect companies to be able to adapt new ways of doing business as they go forward. And I think to look at few, I think there are a lot of people that have started the adoption process. Change is always difficult. Nevertheless, I think they understand that change is imminent and they will have to develop and change their business model in some cases.
Yeah, I think that is what I have seen across other sectors as well. Many of the issues that we're now discussing in a COVID environment actually were issues previously, but what we're seeing is a sort of acceleration or an amplification of those, and the digital transformation seems to be, number one priority. How does the current market challenges affect the requests that you get from your tenants and your clients? I mean, are you seeing different patterns of behavior, whether it's about, from working from home, does that increase the need for more bandwidth from your properties? Or, how are those needs changing from your tenants?
Well, at the beginning, I think, people were looking at the work from home as a definite alternative to them being within the office space. Nevertheless, I think as we get more, we get deeper into the situation, I think people will not let go of their current offices, and they will always use this. And in fact, people started moving back to their offices, other than few international companies. But the local, basically startups that we have here, most of them are starting back into their offices, because I think an office environment is not only where you can come and sit, but it's more of a network, it's a mindset. So there will be always office spaces that are required. And we believe that as companies grow, they require structure, and they require to be able to sit together and brainstorm and develop. And so that basically showed us that there is opportunities, and there is more. In fact, there is no less requirement for office space. There is different kind of office space that might be required going forward, which basically we've started, in fact, a long time ago, with changing a lot of the spaces that we have to be more co-working, to be more supportive of the different environment. But now it became more relevant, as the situation has shown us that people would want to come, but they do want to come to maybe a specific office, but they would like to be part of an area where they can come and network and a co-working kind of an environment. So it depends on where these companies are. So, but in the case of startups, this is a good idea. But as companies grow, they would like to be dedicated, and they require their spaces so that they can be able to sit together and develop new ideas, or go back to provide their services to the company, to the market.
Okay, thank you. Now, we don't have a lot of time for this conversation, but prior to today's conference, MEED conducted, together with Mashreq, a survey of small companies to ask them what their areas of concern were. Now, obviously, future revenue streams is a number one area of priority, and you have already mentioned that. But the other area was outlook. People wanted a sense of what lies ahead. And now none of us have a crystal ball, but what is your view on, what lies ahead in terms of COVID? How, should we plan for it to be around through all 2021? And what do you think small companies should be doing that will have the biggest impact on their continuity as we get through this?
Well, number one, I think there is opportunities that are coming, and we've seen people, we've spoken to a lot of people that we have within our zones that have that positive sentiment towards the beginning of the year. Other than that, I think opportunities for big businesses, the big players, will always rebound, and they will try to recoup what they've lost at the beginning of 2020 by pushing harder, being more aggressive in pushing their products out into the market, by being more supportive to their customer base and providing more services. I think more services for the amount of money that they're getting. But this will always be, or this will be the situation, hopefully, going forward. And this gives us a little bit of comfort, and which we should share with a lot of the companies that we have here, is there are opportunities. And we don't have, as you said, we don't have a magic ball, but we are. I think the positive sentiment is always the way going forward. I think the negative situation will not get people to start pursuing different ideas, pivoting within their businesses, approaching their businesses from an angle, trying to adopt new technologies and trying to adopt new ways of doing their business. And I think this is the way forward going in. And this is what we are seeing from people. And we're talking to them. They never give you that, there will be that pessimist that will see that there is a situation that will never get better. But there is a lot of others that are optimistic about what will happen going forward. And I think, I don't want to be very optimistic about it, but I think the situation in itself is quite positive, looking forward, the beginning of 2021 and going forward to that.
My perception of the UAE in this current situation is that it's probably one of the best placed countries in the world to grow out of the current situation, and certainly in the region. It's in a very strong position in the current circumstances. And I think with Expo coming in October next year, there's a great sort of focal point for Dubai and for the UAE. Can I ask you a little bit about your own strategies or plans going forward? I don't know how much you are able to say in a public forum, but how are you changing your plans for 2021 and 2022, etc.?
Well, I think it's from our end, as you understand today, we are we manage a lot of these cities across different industries, across different fields. So as a group, but looking at the media sector, I think media is always going to promote what is going to happen. And as you rightly mentioned, I think Expo would be a very good carrot that people will be looking at, and how it will basically give us a stronger platform for us to be able to catch the opportunities that are coming. So Expo alone could be an opportunity, and as you see, and with Dubai and the UAE, I think we've gone through tougher times earlier, and we've gone through this, and people within these tough times have found opportunities and have grown. In fact, maybe even double or triple the size they were before any of these downturns that have happened in the past. So there will be opportunities that we have that will come up. It requires people to be vigilant. It requires people to be ready to take this opportunity. It requires people to see how they can capitalize on the positive angle of the situation that we are in currently. And I think the UAE, as you rightly mentioned today, in the current market situation, is one of the best places, for people. In fact, I had a discussion with a business partner just yesterday, talking about him coming into the business, basically in using Dubai as their platform, and saying today for him, UAE or Dubai is the right place for him to be. Although he is going through a tougher time than normal, but he still is optimistic, and he still sees the opportunity coming forward as we move, into the last quarter, deeper into the last quarter, and into, the beginning of the first quarter of 2021.
And just to sort of bring this conversation to a conclusion on the sort of forward-looking point of view, we're hearing a lot about, as government budgets become more constrained by the tougher market conditions and the lower oil prices, and as the private sector sort of responds to the conditions, governments and municipalities and property owners like yourself, you want more bangs for your buck. You want to get more out of your properties, more out of your cities, and sort of we're seeing the use of technology to encourage smart cities and more efficient buildings and smart buildings and green buildings. So do you foresee that for organizations like your own and for cities like your own, a sort of a period of retrofitting and upgrading? You've spent all the past few years building these incredible infrastructures and properties. Is that the next phase, to sort of go to retrofitting for smart operations?
Well, I think, at least talking about ourselves, I think we've gone through a tremendous amount of upgrading a lot of our infrastructure over the last 3 years. So we've actually started ahead of all of the situation, because we are looking at the portfolio that we run. I think we have to have a plan that is always upgrading and trying to be at the providing a top-notch facilities for our business partners across the years. So I think there will be no change in our approach. I think we will have the same approach that we are going for. We are developing a lot of new areas. There is new development happening, and if you can see within our site in Dubai Media City, and Dubai Internet City, and Dubai Knowledge Park, I think there is a lot of things that are happening on the ground that you can actually sense, which hopefully would result in a better environment, not only looking at it from a smart building point of view, but even the environment itself for people to be able to operate and work out of these environments at ease and with comfort is quite important. Not to mention the fact that we are looking at different uses of space also. So we are coming up with new opportunity, new ideas for the buildings in some cases, and we will be testing a lot of things going forward. And I think this is an excellent opportunity for us to expedite maybe projects that were on hold in the past, so that we are able to be ready for any uptake going forward. We believe that 2021 there might be a good opportunity, especially for companies that see Dubai as their hub, or they see the UAE as their hub. And I think with all of the support that the government is providing, generally also, this would also be an excellent opportunity. I think the government is going over and beyond to support all the people that are living and residing within the UAE. And I think this is a vote of confidence, and this is a vote the regional environment to choose Dubai as their location of choice.
Well, Majed Al Suwaidi, thank you so much for your time today. It's very clear that your view is that whilst times are tough, this is a moment of opportunity for your own organization and for your tenants. It's a chance to reassess your plans and perhaps start to think more digitally. But also in 2021, we have Dubai in this incredibly strong position and the UAE in this incredibly strong position, particularly with Expo coming down. So thank you very much for those insightful comments and for the positive thoughts as well. Majed Al Suwaidi, Managing Director of Dubai Media City, Dubai Studio City, Dubai Production City, and Head of In5. Thank you very much for your time today, and I wish you all the best in the 2021.